Scholarly research demonstrates that the Incan belief systems were integrated with their view of the cosmos. So right away, you get right into deep shit. And they'll even tell you this on Wikipedia. Everybody go to Inca mythology on Wikipedia. When you put in Inca mythology, just put in Inca mythology in Google. Go to Google and say, what is Inca mythology? Incan mythology. And when you go to it, INCAN, Incan mythology, it's going to send you to Wikipedia. Click on that Wikipedia link and you'll see it for yourself to read it. But it clearly says, scholarly research demonstrates that Incan belief systems were integrated with their view of the cosmos, especially in regard to the way that the Incan observed the motions of the Milky Way. So that's solar systems. They're still dealing with the astral realms, the cosmos, right? All right, so in the solar system as seen from Cusco. All right, Cusco is one of their little headquarter points that they like to show you, but they lying. It wasn't. They gonna show you this dry desert. You can look at it. It's just a fucking open space with a few little rocks sticking up, and they got you thinking the Incas were gathered there because they want you to think everything was primitive, like they do with all the tribes. If they do talk about us, once again they keep us primitive, looking like shit advanced, when actually they set shit back. We were more advanced then. All right, so but the Incan capital Cusco was named after it. They had a meaning. It means center of the earth. So they're not lying when they telling you this right here on Wikipedia. If they was lying, I would have told you. They're not lying about that. Let's see what else they say. From this perspective, their stories depict the movements of constellations, planets, and planetary formations. So it's like basically they're telling you they was teaching about astrology and astronomy and all this, right? And this is actually where the human beings learned their information about the stars from. It wasn't just the Dogon, but it was also from the Incas. But they don't tell you that on Wikipedia. They call it the Incan belief system. So they used the term belief system to throw your ass off to make you feel like that's not like real cosmic law. It's just their little belief system that they had. You get what I'm saying? So let's keep going. They say they also were all connected to their agricultural cycles. All right. This was especially important for the Inca as they relied on cyclical agricultural seasons, which were not only connected to annual cycles, but to much wider cycle of time every 800 years. So right here, this is these energy cycles that they were aware of. So they didn't go on the time. It wasn't no 24-hour day with the Incas. They knew that shit was bullshit. They let you know right off back they were connected to the cosmos. You see what I'm saying? This is why they were one of the most powerful and most intelligent tribes. This is why Napoleon didn't leave until they eradicated them. Because remember, after they blew our crystal towers up and cut the trees down and pushed the second sun away, they lowered our state and put us in a position where now we mortal. We became mortal again. We were immortal, even on a physical level. But when our frequency lowered, the only thing that remained immortal was the soul. Okay? When we were vibrating at 33rd dimension, we were already immortal. You walk in and out of these avatars, they never die, but as they lowered the frequency, removed our major defense mechanisms, now they put us in a mortal state. And that's when they went to war with us with their knives and their spears. That's why X-Men Apocalypse say no more spears, because spears the shit that they used in the beginning of coming us with. And it's all we were left with was spears in our basic hand-to-hand combat and our little magic rituals that we could still tap into. Thank you to the herbs and plants and shrooms. You know, the shrubberies. So this is where your Haitian hoodoo start coming in at. This is where your voodoo started coming in at, but we were way more advanced than that. This is just what we was left with after the fall. So, they say this was their way of keeping time, was deployed in order to ensure the cultural transmission of key information in spite of regime change or social catastrophes. So, social catastrophes represents these Spanish conquistadors, Napoleon to be exact, coming through with droves and droves of their army, forcing their way of life on us. This is how after they slaughtered us, all right, they begin to infiltrate our thalamus glands and our brains and do a genetic experiment on us by feeding us the food they start feeding us, by feeding us the information they start feeding us. All right, so this is what they were doing when the Spanish conquistadors came around, not just to the Incas, but to all the tribes. This is what they was doing. Now, when you read about the Incas, they call them the Spanish conquistadors. You go read about the Cherokee, they're going to say it's the English. All the same motherfuckers, man. Don't let them titles fool you. That's how they lose you. Don't let them titles fool you. That's how they lose you. But this is all connected. This is all connected. Hell, they know about the Orishas in Brazil. They into Santeria. They into all of that. Why? All in Cuba, these little islands. Why? This was all one landmass. Atlantis. The whole realm. Atlantis. Don't forget the name of the realm, y'all. We're on Atlantis. We are the Atlanteans. Lemuria is the continents that sat outside of us that were also part of Atlantis but got broken off by the ice walls. Then the elite started to rename it Lemuria. But then they write in history, they make you think that the Lemurians were before the Atlanteans. Well, really, the Lemuria and Atlanteans, we the same people. Once they split the land, they called us different names. No different than when they came within the continents and started splitting us up. We became Africans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Haitians, Cubans, Hawaiians, Americans, Canadians, Bolivians, Brazilians, Peruvians, Filipinos, Vietnamese, Laos, Nigerians, Kenyans, all these titles to chop us up in so many slices. So the Incan Empire was no joke. You talking about all our magic. They got most of our magic thanks to Napoleon bitch ass. Like all the magic that the Moors didn't give them, the magic that was left that really mattered, they got that when they destroyed the Incan Empire. The Empire of the Incas. See, before we get into Tupac Amaru, you have to understand who the Incas was. And the role they played. But we talking about the cosmos. All our drop, all the drip, Incas had it. They still got our shit, but they not able to use it. All that shit under the Vatican. All of it. Libraries and libraries and libraries of